Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the first one that gets to say that. Everyone else had to say good morning. It's officially there now. I hope you're still with me. So, my name is Brian Halley. I'm the support supervisor for the Affinion Group. What that means is we sit back and we watch all 4 call centers, and all of our favorite customers, the ones that are extra upset, get to talk to me and my team. So, a little bit about what Affinion Group does. We are the #1 provider of identity theft services. We're the #1 in points managed and redemption, #1 for point-of-sale shopping and entertainment discounts, and a number of other things. Some key things is we have about 180 million customers worldwide. And today, I'm representing our Westerville, Ohio facility. It's a 600-plus seat facility with 24/7 operations with multiple lines of business. So I truly love the outdoors. It's something that I've always enjoyed. So I wanted to take you guys on a bit of a journey to the top of what I call Mount Success. So we have to find a little bit of inspiration in that. Where do we get that motivation? So Pablo Picasso once said, "Our goals can only be reached through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. There is no other route to success." So how do we get there? Well, success always has to start with passion. It's a strong affection or enthusiasm for an object or concept. It's the enthusiasm that brings us together. It's really contagious. It spreads everywhere. It's the difference in what we do that can make all the difference. It keeps you and those around you focused and driven, and it's what truly moves you forward. So my very first tip I'd like to share with you is to keep your passion alive by always taking on new tasks and challenges. So our next step, work our way a little bit up this mountain here. Loyalty. I'm sure we all know how important that is in the call center world, or a faithful adherence to a cause. Loyalty establishes trust and strengthens relationships of the group, whether that be the people that report to you, your peers, or the people that you work for. It's your team and your peers that need to know they can always count on you. It's important to demonstrate your willingness to go that extra mile for them. And it brings it to my next point. You have to regularly reach out to your peers and your team for their input and advice, whether you want to put out a survey or, my personal favorite, just to spend that time talking to that individual. So we're about halfway now, getting up the mountain a little bit. So it's all about the attitude, right? We could have the complete wrong attitude, not be able to accomplish those goals, really do nothing, or we could bring the right one. We could put that foot forward, make sure that we're always trying to have the very best attitude. So the way I described attitude was the way a person views something or truly tends to behave towards it. So your approach to your work is everything. It really matters on how you approach things. One of the things I recently started getting my team to do is really to report those escalations. Nothing's too small in our industry. There could be one call that something just wasn't quite right. If we don't know about it, how do we get it to those who can fix it? How do we make it so that we can improve ourselves and our business and continue to drive forward? The right attitude can make a team. You know, as long as you're always being the very best you can, you're going to have the very best team. You're going to have the very best people. The wrong one, we all know, can break it. It's something that's simply not acceptable. That's why you always have to constantly plan ahead. You always have to be looking to the future and know that there is a next step and make sure that you're actively working towards it. And you have to be ready to react to whatever comes up. You never know what it's going to be. Hopefully, you can at least plan for some of it. But when it comes, just know that you're there and be able to take it as it comes. So my third tip is remember that every team member is truly an individual. I can't stress this as much, so I'll repeat that. Remember that every team member is an individual. Every single one of them. They're all people. You know, something I hear said in the call center industry sometimes is we have so many resources on the phone. Well, is that really going to be what drives it forward? Is that going to be how you get to where you want to go? So you have to treat them as an individual. Find out what their likes are. Find out who their family is, their children, etc. So we're just about there. So the last point really is notion, a conception of or belief about something. I don't know if you can tell, I truly believe about what I do, and I hope that all of you do as well, and I'm sure you do, or you wouldn't be sitting in this room. So notion, you have to take the initiative. for their approval before we make a decision, at least at one time or another. Sometimes you have to just take that start, you have to take that step, and you have to make sure it gets done. You always have to keep the big picture in mind. Kind of a common theme we've seen this today of people saying, well, what about this part of the business and what about this part of the person? It's really the big picture. It's all the different moving pieces all at once. And you have to take calculated risks. It's okay to make a mistake, as long as you take the time to learn from those results, whether they're good or whether they're bad. And then you try something new. Always just keep trying, always pushing forward. And keep in mind that there's always something that can be improved and always something new to do. So that gets us up to the very top of the mountain when you put it all together. So my fifth tip, never forget that the people you manage can only be good as their leader. Always bring your best, and you'll get to the top of the mountain of success. So in summary, make sure that you keep your passion alive by taking on new tasks and challenges, that you regularly reach out to your peers and team for their input and advice. Remember that every team member is an individual. There's always something that can be improved, always something new to do. And never forget that the people you manage can only be as good as their leader, and to always bring your best. So for further thinking, there is no set guide to being a supervisor. Things change so much that what's needed today simply may not be what's needed tomorrow. But when there's confusion, or you're not quite sure what to do, always just go back to the plan. Thank you all very much for your time today. My name is Brian Halley with the Finian Group.